Luffy is the embodiment of virtue, perhaps not in an objective, literal way, but in a philosophical, Aristotelian, and Thomistic way he is. He just so happens to be virtuous, not through effort, but because of what naturally comes to him. Aristotle has 4 stages of virtue, as described in his Nicomachean Ethics. They are viciousness, incontinence, continence, and virtue. The vicious person does something wrong and revels, even enjoys doing the wrong. They see no issue with the wrong action. They know what moral standards there are. They know what laws exist and why they exist, but they simply choose to ignore it for his or her selfish gain. Incontinence refers to a lack of self-control. This is when someone knows that they should be doing something but lacks such Herculean strength to do it. Or they know that they should not be doing something and lacks the stoic self-control to abstain. He or she is not pleased with the decision made, but they were too weak to choose the correct decision. Next is continence. This is the one people usually think is the end. It is where you possess the stoic self-control to abstain or the Herculean strength to do something, but it is only through the incorporation of incredible grit. You do the right thing, but it is a struggle for you. It required great effort, and while you may have enjoyed the end result, you did not enjoy the process. The last is virtue. This is the glad act of moral character. You choose to do good not because it is your duty, but because it aligns with your character. This spectrum of states delineates how human beings can be more or less well-formed in their estimation and pursuit of what is good. The vicious person is malformed. The virtuous person is well-formed. The continent and incontinent oscillate in the seams. This range of options helps clarify the goal of human life. Man is made for more than merely following the rules. As One Piece demonstrates, if such legalistic rules are incongruent to proper human flourishing, it is actually good to disobey them. Man is made for the good, to cultivate a knack for spontaneous action toward that end. To be inclined towards the good as if by some kind of visceral nature. Man develops such a faculty for living well and choosing well that the opposing thought is not able to lay claim on their conscience, not even for a moment. In one of Luffy's most important lines, he says that he's not a hero, but a pirate. A hero shares food with everyone, but a pirate keeps it to himself. The specific words and example Luffy uses is questionable, because as we know that's kind of what he does in Wano, but the idea is right in line with the virtuous character defined by Aristotle. Luffy doesn't do things because he feels some kind of moral obligation to do them. He simply does them because it is what feels right to him at the time. A hero does things he doesn't want to do for the betterment of other people. A pirate doesn't care about such obligations and just abides by his own capricious whims. It just so happens that everything Luffy feels right to do happens to be the correct choice. He effortlessly is a good person. It's a wonderful thing that Luffy just so happens to choose the right thing. That is the difference between being a hero and being a virtuous pirate. Luffy is such a force of raw character that he doesn't even have any thinking bubbles. Everything he thinks comes right out of his mouth. He is, in the most unembellished sense, a primal paragon of Aristotelian virtue. He lacks even the ephemeral, transient, transitory point of being inclined towards anything other than such. This freedom is so attractive that it inspires others to be free. Luffy is so completely unbridlingly free, having such an optimism of the will that he demonstrates to others what it truly means to be free. Therefore, they find in him the reflection of the possibility of their own freedom. He is not just setting people free, but acting in a manner that is so unabashedly free that others are inspired to become free by witnessing him. Perhaps this is part of what it means to be Pirate King. As we know, Luffy doesn't necessarily want to be the strongest, but the freest man in the world. Someone who is so free, so authentically and virtuously free, that as being the king, he inspires the rest of the world to think and act in such a free way as him, to reflect a global mirror perhaps a reflection seen on the very seas in which we travel, on the entire world, illuminating for everyone what it means to be free. It is true that the impetus of Luffy's moral actions are the fact that he just so happens to be friends with people on the islands, but then you have to reconsider how Luffy just so happens to be friends with the right people at the right time. It is, once again, due to his childlike and good nature. Aristotle and St. Thomas Aquinas insist that a moral life is to go beyond restraint or discipline. Virtue is a kind of thing akin to a musician who loves her art. She needs no parental oversight. She merely loves to play the instrument for its own sake. A steady ration of scales and etudes reveals to her more of the instrument's beauty, and she grows to continually and gladly want more of it, joyfully moving from modest pieces to arrangements of increasing technicality. For all intents and purposes, this is a virtuous musician in the Aristotelian sense. This is really the truest form of freedom, a freedom that encompasses genuine joy, regardless of the circumstances or junctures of one's particular life. In this profound state of freedom, individuals find the path to their own flourishing, contributing to a harmonious world where everyone has the opportunity to experience true and lasting happiness. Perhaps there's a reason Luffy is constantly portrayed as a force of joy along with freedom. Perhaps the two are necessary components of each other when fully realized. Doing well, choosing well, and embodying such virtuous traits is the true joy of life. Virtuous interactions foster prosperous relations which allow such joy. If one possesses such virtuous character, they will do what is right regardless of the law, as that is what is constantly highlighted as being a major part of One Piece's philosophy. The more virtuous a man is, the freer he is. To gladly and reflexively choose virtue is the summit of human existence. To be clear, once again, I am not saying that One Piece is explicitly espousing the idea of being a virtuous character. I am saying that the ideals of freedom that it espouses necessitates a virtuous character, and as such, this seems to be the implied message from my reading. Even if it is scantily acknowledged, this is the ultimate message of conveying the negatives of overreaching piracy and overreaching authority. The only way to reconcile these is to create a truly free nation for people to cultivate the highest level of virtue. We need virtuous pirates, virtuous leaders, and virtuous citizens. Thus, freedom is the prerequisite to virtue, and virtue is the condition on which human flourishing rests. Interestingly enough, there's actually a secret goal that Luffy has, beyond becoming the king of the pirates and the freest man in the world. I'm not actually saying or even predicting that this is his goal, but this does seem to imply, although in a somewhat weak sense, that Luffy, and by extension Oda, see something beyond free choice to be the ultimate good. That there is something more important than having the ability to choose what you want. Don't take this as my key point or anything, I just noticed this and I thought it would be interesting to mention. That aside, all of this is great, substantive, and intelligent, but it is incomplete. Alexis de Tocqueville said, "Liberty cannot be established without morality, nor morality without faith." If you would like to know why I think we need a society grounded in a proper moral truth, and why that foundation of truth best works through the inculcation of virtue bestowed onto us by the Christian God, and why the biblical worldview is the best, one true foundation that exists, you can read my book, Muscular Christianity, A Case for Spiritual and Physical Fitness, particularly chapter 5 and 7. And with all that being said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you all next time. Peace.